that this could endanger the safety of Israel. I wonder if that's something that you're worried about.
What am I worried about?
I mean, are you worried that you could elect people from New York who would not support new weapon sales to Israel, which could affect their security?
Well, what I'm worried about, frankly, is each and every New Yorker being able to afford life in this city, and also each and every New Yorker being able to believe in a city, in a country, and in a world where we have some consistency on human rights.
Zohran Mamdani was recently interviewed by CBS News' Marsha Kramer, where he was asked about his plans and policies as a mayoral candidate. However, one of the most frustrating parts of the interview was the constant obsession with Israel and Zohran's stance on it. Time and again, the conversation was sidetracked away from local issues and toward his views on Israel, something Marsha Kramer has done in previous interviews with him as well.
So a lot of people have been talking about your positions on Israel.
But as always, Zohran delivered calm, thoughtful responses, refusing to fall into any of the gotcha moments the interviewers seem to be pushing for. Watch how he responds to the first question that is asked.
You met with a group of rabbis on Thursday to talk about your positions on the Jewish state and Israel and other things. And one of the rabbis, Ami Hirsch, wasn't won over by your positions because he thinks it's important for Israel to be recognized as a Jewish state. And he put out a statement that said,
She brings up Rabbi Amiel Hirsch, who has openly opposed Zohran's positions on Israel. However, Hirsch does not represent the majority of the Jewish community or Jewish rabbis. In fact, many Jewish leaders and rabbis have supported Mamdani throughout his campaign, something Zohran himself points out in his response.
That the anti-Zionist rhetoric and anti-Israel policies will threaten Jewish safety in New York City and will inevitably lead to an unproductive and tense relationship with the Jewish community. What Mr. Mamdani says and which policies he pursues could affect the fact that the Jewish community will energetically oppose any and all anti-Israel rhetoric and actions. How do you feel about that when you have this man trying to take shots at you before you even take the oath of office?
Well, look, I think that Rabbi Hirsch is entitled to his opinions. I appreciated the meeting that I had with a number of rabbis where we spoke about my commitment to keeping each and every Jewish New Yorker safe, but also celebrating and cherishing them in their city. And that's part of a larger commitment to each and every New Yorker. And also in these conversations, we not only talk about the importance of taking on anti-Semitism across the 5 boroughs, but also on delivering on a number of other issues of concern, because as a number of rabbis spoke to me about the affordability agenda, so many other aspects of city life, they continue to be things that they hear about from their congregants.
I guess the question is whether you buy his argument that your failure to say Israel should exist as a Jewish state will somehow add to more anti-Semitism and more attacks on Jews. And I wonder if you worry about that, or you think that's a specious argument.
Well, I've found that the conversations I've had with Jewish leaders across the 5 boroughs have been ones that we are looking to build a relationship to deliver for this city. And just the day before I had that meeting with the New York Board of Rabbis, I was with a number of members of the Satmar community in Brooklyn, in Crown Heights, and in Williamsburg, as thousands of us were celebrating together. And I think it showcases a vision of this city. And the positions that I've made clear on Israel and on Palestine, these are part of universal beliefs of equal rights and the necessity of it for all people everywhere.
But it's also part of your DNA and how you grew up, you know, believing that there should be a 2-state solution or that there should be one area.
Well, what I grew up believing is that every single person should be entitled to the same rights and that equality should be something enshrined in the law. And what I've said is that my inability to say what Rabbi Hirsch would like me to say comes from a belief that every state should be of equal rights, whether we're speaking about Israel or Saudi Arabia or anywhere in the world.
In the next question, she asked Mamdani about people opposing weapons sales to Israel, including funding for the Iron Dome, an issue that has nothing to do with New York or the role of a mayor. Notably, this line of questioning focuses only on Israel's security, while ignoring weapons sales to other U.S. allies like Ukraine or Pakistan. Still, Zohran responds calmly and methodically, dismantling the premise of the question without taking the bait.
So the reason I asked the question, and it gets back to the question of Israel, that a lot of the people who are running are not happy with the amount of weapons that the United States gives to Israel. And I wonder if that's something that concerns you, because many Jews feel that if the weapons are cut, especially the weapons that fund Iron Dome, which is a missile system that prevents them from, that allows them to shoot attack missiles out of the sky, that this could endanger the safety of Israel. And I wonder if that's something that you're worried about.
What am I worried about?
I mean, are you worried that you could elect people from New York who would not support new weapon sales to Israel, which could affect their security?
Well, what I'm worried about, frankly, is each and every New Yorker being able to afford life in this city, and also each and every New Yorker being able to believe in a city, in a country, and in a world where we have some consistency on human rights. And I've heard from New Yorkers, including many Jewish New Yorkers, of their frustration with how we have continued to spend billions of dollars in tax dollars funding these kinds of weapons shipments. And I know that that's something of immense, immense concern. And I think that what New Yorkers want to see is consistency. They want tax dollars not to violate human rights, but rather to support the delivery of those rights.
At the end of the day, the interview says less about Zohran Mamdani and more about the questions being asked. Despite repeated attempts to sidetrack the conversation, he stays composed and focused on what actually matters to New Yorkers. Subscribe for more videos like this.